My name's Sean Lynch. I'm the founder and developer of OpenLitterMap. So OpenLitterMap is an open source, interactive and accessible database of the world's litter and plastic pollution. And much like you guys, I was studying geography, environmental science, GIS in university. And when I was introduced to GIS, it looked to me like a map in one of the games I used to play online with my friends. And I was thinking, how can I use this? Like what could I actually use this for that would be fun? Because to me, it looked like a game using real world data. So I thought, you know, I was walking around and I was thinking about this in the back of my mind, and the most obvious thing that came to me, and this was in 2008, was to use it to map illegal dumping. And I thought, well, if I can visualize this and present it to the people in the community, it's no longer invisible. I have something tangible to show them. Like, this is where it is, and this is what it looks like, and you mightn't see it when you're driving past. And then I thought, well, maybe we could also use that information with the city council or the municipality, and then try and use that data to get it fixed. And soon after I started looking at dumping, I quickly realized there was like micro litter everywhere. Cigarette butts, plastic bottles, dog fouling, broken glass, you name it, you've all seen it. But for many people, we all know what it is. We all know this is a problem. We're all aware this is a problem in the oceans. But for many people who are not tech savvy and introduced to GIS and had the same experiences that we've had, litter has become invisible. It's blended into the backgrounds of our lives, and it's become normal. And this situation should not be normal. So the power of what we're doing is we get to visualize that. And much like the initial use case that I had for visualizing dumping, we get to visualize this now. And what I'll show you now is hyperspatial resolution. So if you imagine you're walking down a street and there's 100 cigarette butts, we could map all of those individually, and it tells a very important story. So that's what we're going to talk about. So that map in the background below all this stuff, that the actual tiles of the countries and stuff, that's OpenStreetMap. And when I was introduced to OpenStreetMap, I was introduced to this entirely open source map of the world as an alternative to Google Maps. So Google owns Google Maps. They own the data, they own the rights to it. And previously, if you wanted to get access to those shape files based on the districts or the townlands or whatever you deal with, country files, you had to write to your government or your local government for access, and they could say no, or they could say, well, it's expensive, or it comes with a restrictive license. And the mappers of the world were fed up with this, and they said, well, why don't we just do it ourselves? Why are we waiting for permission all the time? Why don't we just start crowdsourcing this data? So that's how OpenStreetMap was born. So I was already studying litter and mapping, and I was introduced to OpenStreetMap, and I thought, well, that's great. We have streets. Now, what's on those streets? And I went looking online for where's the platform for mapping litter and plastic pollution, and it didn't exist. And that's how OpenLitterMap was born. So we have OpenStreetMap as the map, that's the base map, and then OpenLitterMap is literally layered on top of OpenStreetMap. So like Wikipedia, all of OpenStreetMap, the code and all of the data is free and open for anyone to download. So you and I, our local government, all researchers, everybody in the world has the same access to the code and the data that's generated it. And you can go in and edit it, and you can update it, and you can maintain it. And OpenStreetMap is now the most comprehensive map in the world, generated by over 2 million volunteers, and it's the background map used by Facebook and Snapchat. So it's become a pretty serious player in the GIS world and in the mapping world, and just in the corporate world as well. And you'll increasingly see it more used in government products, and even I've seen it used in weather, as a background map and stuff. So I was inspired by OpenStreetMap, and I thought, well, why don't we apply the same values, same open source values to mapping litter and plastic pollution? That's how OpenLitterMap was born. So I'm a geographer, and I studied GIS in college, and wrote my final year dissertation on OpenLitterMap, and then taught myself how to code, and I'm still plugging away at it piece by piece. But it's getting better, so it's a great time to download our app because it actually works. It's bug free. It took a long time, but I'll tell you a little bit about it today. So traditionally, citizen science, this is the act of bringing non-professionally trained experts to complement scientific data collection. And it's been in the literature since about the 1970s, and it's almost exclusively focused on biodiversity mapping. And this is a map of the native hedgehog in Ireland, where I live. But biodiversity mapping has significant barriers to entry. You need a PhD in ecology to identify a bee or an ant. And I haven't seen a hedgehog in 20 years. So these species are not easy to find, and they're even probably more difficult to appropriately classify, to say this is a male or a female hedgehog, or what age it is, and so on. So biodiversity mapping can be complemented by citizen science, but it's not easy. It has significant barriers to entry because we have to find these species, we have to appropriately identify them. And this is what most citizen science is focused on to date, as being this institutional led narrative where professionally trained scientists, study their whole lives and then maybe complemented a little bit by citizen scientists. But biodiversity mapping has significant barriers to entry. What has a much lower barrier to entry for involving non-professionally trained data collectors is mapping litter and waste and pollution, because unfortunately, not only is it everywhere, so it's very easy to find, but everybody knows what it is. Everybody knows that this is a dump site, or that that's a cigarette butt and this is a plastic bottle. So litter mapping has an incredibly low barrier to entry. I would consider it the lowest barrier to entry, so low that it's an important catalyst to unlock society's data collection capacity. So all around the world, about 1 billion people have been empowered with one of these. We call these phones, but more fundamentally, these are no longer phones. These are now data collectors. They collect data about you and your location and what you're typing and your preferences and who your friends are. So even when you're making a phone call, you're sending and submitting data. So fundamentally, our devices are really powerful hand-sized supercomputers that are geolocated, and they can be used to make observations about the world. So your phone can make some factual observation about your surroundings. That location then is recorded with the GPS connection. That's a satellite connection. It's not 3G or Wi-Fi. So if you're rural and you don't have cellular connectivity, it doesn't matter, because GPS is a panopticon. It's the all-seeing eye. GPS can see everything. You can't see the eye. But GPS is globally ubiquitous. So it doesn't matter if you can't connect to the internet, your phone can still collect GPS data. And then we've got the screen, and the screen is the modern canvas. So the screen has an infinite number of designs associated with it. And we can use that screen in an artistic way to make collecting data and adding basically tags to the photos fun and interactive. And that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to turn cleaning the planet into a game and make it fun and easy and accessible using the app. So the app works. You'll see that, even though it works, it needs some more work, but your feedback is very valuable to try and help us improve that. So we'd love to hear what you have to say and hear from your feedback and your experience with it. And we host a weekly community call every Thursday at 6 p.m. Irish time, which is GMT. So it's probably around noon for you guys. But if you're ever free on a Thursday, we'd love to, you're welcome to just listen in and see what we have to say. So like I said, mapping litter has a much lower barrier to entry because you don't have to walk very far. Just look out the window or, walk around the corner and you will find a large variety of cigarette butts and plastic bottles and everything else. And increasingly in the last 2 years, face masks. This was never a problem when I started mapping litter, but now there's billions, if not trillions, of face masks littered all around the globe, which may be increasing the transmission of the pandemic. It's certainly increasing a new problem of litter. So litter changes. It changes with consumer behavior. It changes with the season, with different events. Litter, unlike buildings and streets, which are static, litter is highly dynamic across space and time. And we don't yet have a good understanding of how much plastic is going into the ocean, how it's moving across space and time, and how we can get better value for services like bins, ashtrays, street cleaning services. And this is a huge burden on taxpayer expense. So I think in Germany, they spend about 700 million euros every year on street cleaning services. Here in Ireland, it's about 85 million euros a year. So they're not small numbers we're dealing with. You know, when you guys get jobs and you start paying 50% income tax, this is going to become a big concern to see, you know, where your money is going. And it doesn't have to be this way. You know, that money could be spent in the health sector or housing people, or, you know, there's, you know, hiring more professors and lowering student debt. But to achieve that, we need the data. So all around the world, hundreds of millions of people have been equipped with these really powerful devices, these data collectors. And traditionally, the way science has been done was that only a small number of experts who were highly trained were the only ones and had a monopoly basically on the production of knowledge. And they had to get jobs in institutions, and the institutions would decide, well, this is the kind of science that we do here. This is what we allow. This is the characterization of the world that we say is permissible. And the scientific method was carefully constructed around sampling, because a small number of experts were not able to collect huge national data sets. It wasn't feasible. So to fill in those gaps, and basically experts had to make trade-offs, and they said, well, we can't possibly capture every bee or every blade of grass or every drop in the ocean. So we have to take a small sample here and here and make inferences and generalizations about the broader population. And it's done pretty well, considering, you know, only a small number of people could collect a very small amount of data. But obviously there are inherent problems with that approach, because you know, we're making inferences based on a very small amount of data. But this paradigm, this scientific paradigm, is inherently flawed. And it was constructed in an era when a billion people didn't have access to devices that can collect data. So we're now witnessing a paradigm shift in the scientific method, because now, I think I just quit out. Now we can empower many people with data collection for the first time. And not only will this complement expert-led scientific sampling, I think it's going to just replace it totally, to be honest, because the expert-led institutionalization of science, it hasn't worked very well to protect the environment. You know, you don't have to spend too long reading the news to see how badly we've done at protecting the environment. And this institutionalization of science has led to a very careful construction of knowledge and characterization about how badly polluted the planet is, which has ultimately failed, in my opinion. And not only will citizen science disrupt that, but it will improve our ability to characterize and construct knowledge based on how badly polluted the planet is. Because if you spend your whole life becoming a researcher and working for an institution, you know, in the public sector, people don't tend to rock the boat very often. Whereas with citizen science now, anyone can come along with a $50 smartphone and create unprecedented levels of data about how badly polluted the planet is, which many institutions have, I would say, purposefully neglected. And you can read back into the history of plastic pollution, and you'll see that a small number of scientists realized in the early 1970s that plastic in the ocean was first recognized to have a global distribution in the 70s, but big oil and plastic came along and basically threatened the livelihood of those scientists with their careers, and purposefully shut them up and censored scientific knowledge. And it wasn't until social media came around that suddenly there was an explosion in knowledge about how badly polluted the planet was. And it wasn't that the journalists of the world suddenly figured it out. What happened was there was this explosion in bottom-up knowledge creation across social media, and suddenly hundreds of millions of people could easily share and consume information. That's why this has suddenly become a big issue. It's not because it came from the top down and they said this is a problem now. This was very much, in my opinion, a bottom-up issue. And it was so profound that this changed mainstream political and corporate dialogue globally almost overnight. So first, we learned how to use our devices to share information, and that worked. There's some problems with fake news and all that, but overall, I think we're heading in the right direction. So we've learned how to use our devices to share information. Next step is we need to learn how to use them to share data, and we need your help to unlock society's data collection capacity. So we are the first generation empowered with the production of knowledge, global data, and mass communication. And now we need to use our devices to not only share information, but collect real observations about the world, a practice that was once limited to experts is increasingly becoming democratized. So I started my research without an app. You don't even need an app to collect data on litter. You can use your phone, and by default, when your location services are on, your photos are going to be geotagged, and you can use QGIS or some other software to make maps like this. And this was the result in my dissertation. Was I was looking just for increased visualization and statistical data to try and quantify and change how we characterize pollution. Because it's not just an ocean problem, it's not an away problem, it's not an Asian problem. This is an everywhere problem, and you don't have to travel very far to figure that out. So with your device, you are now empowered with the skills that previously was only restricted to experts with PhDs, and now anyone can produce highly detailed information about the world like this and make very real world observations. So not only is the data important in terms of policy and saving public resources, but it's visually stimulating. And that visualization is important to bring that message of ocean plastic home. If you zoom in on some of these streets that I was previously mapping in the last slide, you'll see that they've all been dotted with these holes in the curb, in the sidewalk. And although the primary function of this is to remove rainwater and runoff, they also double up and facilitate what I call the illusion of urban cleaning. So we think the streets are getting cleaner, but in reality, what's actually happening is many urban infrastructures are designed to move and transport plastic litter from land to sea. So it should come at no surprise that if we are designing our streets to remove this stuff and brush it out under the carpet or into the ocean, it should not come as a huge surprise then to find images like this and scenes like this across many beaches and coastal areas in the world. Now, volunteers do great work at picking this up, right? But if they didn't pick it up, this is exactly what everything would look like. And the problem with picking up litter is that if we're not collecting data, then we are basically removing this and removing any record of it. And if I was to remove all this and pick it up, sure, I'd be removing it from the environment. But if I'm not collecting data, then nobody knows about my effort. My effort has been lost in history. And I need to communicate this if it's a problem. And collecting data on pollution is just as important as picking it up. Because if picking up is all we do, that's all we will ever do. So we need to not only remove the stuff from the environment, but we need to collect as much data as possible as well, because we need to quantify it. We need to hold producers of this stuff accountable. We need to educate wider society that yes, every one of these plastic bottles that we all use, and don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. I'm not zero waste entirely yet either, but I'm trying, and I'm trying to change my behavior, and I'm using way less plastic day by day, but I'm by no means a perfect role model. But you know, we can all make a difference, but not only do we need to remove this stuff from the environment, but we also need to collect data because it improves how we manage this, and we can't manage what we don't measure. So we need to quantify this and characterize correctly if we want to fix this problem. And if you read the scientific papers that characterize the amount of plastic going into the sea from land, many of them recognize that there's large uncertainties with their numbers because of the lack of data. So many of them make inferences, like we talked about earlier, based on population density and waste management metrics, and they're approximating how much they think is going in, but there's a huge lack of data because we have yet to unlock society's data collection capacity. So not only do we need to just pick it up, we also need to go that extra step further and start using our data collectors that we have access to. So the hardest part of citizen science was empowering about 1 billion people with data collectors. And that step is done. So now we just need people to actually start using them. So now that people already have the devices and they're in our hands, they're in our pockets, all we need to do is start taking them out and collecting as much data as possible. And when you do that, if you visit openlittermap.com, click on the global map, and zoom in anywhere there's a lot of data, you'll get a map like this. And straight away, there's a huge visualization component here. It doesn't matter what language you speak. It doesn't matter if you have reading difficulties. Anyone can understand that a cloud of points here is going to make, it means there's a big problem. And this, if you remember when Google Earth was first released, and suddenly everyone in the world had access to a globe in their desktop. And I remember I thought it was very powerful. And we could have gone anywhere. We could have gone to the pyramids. We could have gone to Niagara Falls. First thing everybody did, and I'm guilty, is we went straight to where we live. And I want to see what my community looks like and my neighborhood looks like from space for the first time. And it was really empowering, and everyone became a geographer and a cartographer and had, wanted to see what their home looked like from bird's eye view or satellite. And it's my opinion that if we can map all of the litter in people's local communities, it brings that message of away and ocean plastic home, and it puts it in a very local context. And I think that's very empowering. Moving along quickly, I know we're stuck for time. The reason it's called OpenLitterMap is because it's open source. So you have access to the exact same code that I do, and everybody does. Every student in the world has access to all of the same code. So you can visit us on GitHub and you can see what the code looks like. You can learn with us. You can submit a pull request and add a bug fix or a translation or an improvement or a suggestion in. But you don't need to be a software developer to appreciate using open source code, because even if you're not a developer, you can still be a part of this community and use an app that all of the students in the world have access to. So even if you're not a software developer, you're still participating and using and contributing to an open source movement. Because it's infinitely more powerful, and anyone can use all of our code for another purpose. So any student with an idea can come along and leverage all of the work we've done so far, change litter to bugs or spiders or buildings or pollution or war, destruction of war. We've new images coming in from Ukraine at the moment, which are just litter, but in theory, it could be used to map last year there was the explosion in Beirut in Lebanon after this huge fertilizer explosion, and there was another open source open Lebanon map with a similar idea of mapping the destruction of buildings. So what we're trying to do is to make it really fun and easy for people to collect data, but also to create a really good starting point. So if someone else has a new idea, we don't want to exclude them and make them start from scratch. They can leverage all of the work we've done so far and hopefully create better ideas. And that's what open source is all about, is that we harness the global collective potential of the world. I heard a great quote recently, and that said that open source is like combining the philosophies of the invisible hand from Adam Smith. So this is a capitalist philosophy that the market will guide, like this invisible hand, what products and services can be created. but it combines that with the collective equity of Karl Marx. So these are two opposing political paradigms. But open source is like combining the invisible free market, the economy can go in any direction, with the collective equity of a communist manifesto. So I thought that was really interesting, that open source technology is collective equity and technological sustainability, because it can be taken in any direction and everybody has access to it, but we all get improved products and services because of it. Not only is all of our code open, but all of the things and the ideas and features and bug fixes that we're working on are also open. So if you join our Slack channel, just ask to join the Trello board, and basically our cards start in the left-hand column and progressively move from column to column from left to right. So if there's a new feature, a new bug, it gets discussed, it gets reviewed, it gets tested before finally gets launched onto production. This is the software development lifecycle that we use. So it starts on the left and progressively moves over from one column to the other. If you keep our global map open, you'll also, if you keep it open long enough, you'll see that there's live updates. So what you guys can do is, with the app, you can create a team. You can join a team either with your class or your friends or your colleagues. And if you keep the global map open, you'll see any contributions. If there's a new user, a team has been created. So if you're about to upload a lot of data as a group, you can keep the global map open and maybe get a screen recording of it and capture that. And that's good marketing tools. Or if you're going to give a presentation to another class or something, try and upload all your data live, and try and impress your friends and show that this is real and this is live. And even if you keep it open now, you'll see there's new images and new users coming in every day. We're getting about 5 or 6 new users a day, and about 3 to nearly 700 images coming in every day from all around the world. And keep it open and you'll see them coming in. So using our app is easy. It's trying to make it as easy as possible. You take a photo. I would recommend using the camera in your phone, not the one in the app, because the app is just an extension of the phone. The phone is the native camera, and you're never going to get better than that. And then you tag the litter. So you decide, if it's a face mask, or if it's a Red Bull can, and what brand is there if possible. And then you just press upload. And if you want, you can see it on the global map. So everything, most of the app now works. I got my first investment really, and it came from cryptocurrency. It took more than 15 years and 80 applications, but a cryptocurrency called Cardano have a decentralized innovation fund, and almost like getting upvoted on Reddit. I applied with Litercoin, and they voted for that. So Litercoin is the first cryptocurrency rewarded for collecting data about the environment. Still in development. Unlike all the other crypto crap, Litercoin won't be listed on any exchange and can be spent in zero waste stores only. So they're trying to make it into climate currency. So as you do the work, you get rewarded with Litercoin, which hopefully you'll be able to bring to your local zero waste store, fill up your jar, and leave with a discount without having to use any plastic. So as well as that, we're working on the OpenLitter AI. So this will be an open source litter detection classifier that will help automate the tagging. We're adding in improved gamification elements. I have another grant proposal with crypto again to pay for that. And if you have any ideas, we'd love to hear from them. We've got Littercoin, and we've got new competitions on the way. I'm about to launch a new campaign called Litter Week. And unlike Earth Day, one day in the year, or World Cleanup Day, one day in the year, then there's 364 days that are not Earth Day. Like, that's not how we fix the environment. So what I'm trying to do with Litter Week is you take the Litter Week challenge any week that suits you, and it runs for 7 days. You can take it as many times as you want. And then at the end of the school year or school term, we'll host an award ceremony with prizes live, hopefully on Instagram. So there's some of the competitions we're working on. And we're looking for pilots like this. Like, this is an experimentation. This is a real life scientific experimentation. We have no idea how much data a group of volunteers can collect in an hour. Like, that's how underdeveloped citizen science is. So it's a really interesting time to get involved. And thanks to Tally for organizing this. And And if you have any comments or questions, or you want to see how the app works, I'd love to take them. That's the end of my presentation for now. But
I'd like to actually create a team for our geomorphology class, because my students didn't start using the app yet. So that way, if we create a team, then we can see how much this class collected by the end of the semester, right? So,
that's true.
So if I wanted to create a team, do you want me to share my screen and you can give me instructions and I can show my students what to do?
Yeah, if you want. So we recently added teams into the mobile app.
Oh, into the mobile app. Okay.
Yeah, so things are changing and things are getting better, yeah, day by day. So in the mobile app, you'll see there's a new feature in the middle here called Teams. Needs a little bit of work. It's not perfect, but it does work. But it is possible to
add a team.
Yeah, you can create a new team.
Okay, and then you can just call it now. You can create for us, or should I create?
I can.
Us?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can do that. And if you want, I don't mind. I'm easy. But we have here. Yeah, we've got some data coming in already. We've got some data from Texas. So even since this presentation started, we've got 3 new users and about 10 images from Texas. So watch this. If what do we want to call this team?
Geomorphology Lethbridge. Or LC, right? Lethbridge College, so LC. Yeah.
Okay.
Geomorphology LC.
We need to give this team a password or a key.
Okay. What key do you guys want to use? How many characters do we need?
That's a good question. I should know the answer to that, shouldn't I?
Okay. You guys have ideas?
What about just GeoLC 2022?
Okay. GeoLC 20. You guys, someone writes it down. So
yeah.
You guys remember? GeoLC 2022. Okay.
Okay, and watch this. If I create a new team.
Okay.
And boom, we got that notification live on the global map as well.
So a new team. So now how do the students, when they go and collect data, how do they join the team?
Good question.
Ah, there you go. One of my students said you go to Teams, there's a plus sign at the top, and then what? And then you go to join team. There you go. They're teaching me. Great. Okay, and then join.
So I'm on your team as well. So I'll give you.
Oh, you're on my team. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
You can see. So there's one small bug, right? You can see that it's the photos is just cut off. So if you want to experiment with software development, you can give that a fix. You know, it's open source. But if not, just send us a message. We know about most of the bugs already. Like this is probably too long. There's a few more, but you'll see if you look at all the teams. We've got a few.
So we gave it a too long name.
No, you're okay. I think that was another team, but
okay.
Yeah, we've got new teams coming in all the time. So you guys now are going to compete for a position on this leaderboard and try and push your team up the ranks. So it shouldn't be too hard to get into the top 10. Things are still pretty early. So you only need to get past about 1,500 litter or tags, or individual tags, to get into the top 10. So that should be your goal, is to try and get your college into the top 10.
1,500 litter points.
Tags.
Okay, litter tags. But we have 35 students. So do the math per student. Yeah. Okay, so that's good. And so we have a team. Now, the other thing I want you to show the students is the Slack. How is it called? Is it an app, the Slack?
Slack, there is an app that you can download on your phone or your laptop, or you can use it in the web browser. If your laptop is powerful enough and you have the space, I would recommend downloading the app. And on the website, you'll see when you sign up, there's actually, we added this new page yesterday called Community. I'm going to open this in the new tab.
So that's part of the OpenLitterMap app. There's community.
This is on the website. There's
Okay.
a new page here called community, and you'll get some stats to see how many users have signed up in the last 30 days or how many photos. This also needs to be fixed. This line is only flat relative to this line, but we need to add in a second y-axis here to scale that proportionately.
Okay.
But I can turn off the photos. But you can see that in February there was 106 new users, down from 235 in December. We also have a weekly call every Thursday at 6 p.m. Irish time or London time, GMT. And there's a countdown timer. So it starts in 5 days and 20 hours on Thursday. So that's a new feature. And you'll also get a link to join the Zoom meeting. If you want to just listen in, see what we're working on, meet others in the community. And there's also a link here to join us on Slack. So that will give you access to, this is where we hang out. It's like a Facebook group. It's a messaging app, and you can see all the people here and join the community. If you want to create a channel for your college, we can do that. And you can meet our developers, other volunteers. There's people joining in from all around the world. It's cool.
Yeah. So let's start a channel for us, for the college.
Yeah. So even right now, we've got someone typing, and we've got people messaging us. We also started a new blog recently called Weekly OpenLitterMap, and we just published our 10th weekly blog post. And this is just a quick summary of everything we discussed during our meeting. So if you want to see what we're talking about, what we're working on right now, you can read that. It's on Medium at Weekly OLM or Weekly OpenLitterMap. And I should add that this was inspired by Weekly OSM at OpenStreetMap. So they do the same thing. There's a weeklyosm.eu, I think is their website. And you can see everything that's been discussed on OpenStreetMap. So that's my Northern Star, is I take a lot of inspiration from the OpenStreetMap project. So I just want to give them guys some
credit.
Some credit, exactly, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Wow, look at that. So already new users are.
So how do the students use the OpenLitterMap? Can you show a demonstration?
I will. So what I would we have a camera here. Now this is obviously a simulator. So yours isn't going to look like this. I wouldn't recommend using this. I would recommend using the native camera on your device. Okay. And the first thing you do is you turn on your location services. So it depends if you're using iOS or Android, and the instructions are sent out in a welcome email when you sign up. But briefly, if you're using iOS, you go to settings, privacy, location services, turn them on, and also turn the camera on while you're using it. And then your photos will be automatically geotagged. Very rarely you'll find that a tree or a building will knock off the GPS. Very rare, but it does happen very rarely sometimes. But if you're out in the open, no problem. On Android, you have to open the camera, go to the settings within the camera, and there should be a feature or a setting there called enable geotagging. Turn that on, and then there's a top-down menu that you can pull down and enable your satellite connection, your GPS connection. And you don't need to be connected to the Wi-Fi or your 3G or cellular data to make that work, because it's independent. It's a satellite connection, and it'll work pretty much. It should work globally. It should work if you're out, really rural or in the middle of the ocean. It's not dependent on anything else, just that satellite connection. So once your location services are turned on, when you take a photo, that photo will be geotagged. So the GPS latitude and longitude will be embedded somewhere in that photo. You don't need to worry about it. But when you open the OpenLitterMap app, there's a button here for your gallery, and there's one album with all of your geotagged images. So only the geotagged images will be in here. And you select the images that you want and click next. And then these images will be added here to this screen. And then select the images, the image that you want. Let me get a new one. So we've got this bottle of Coke, and it says that it's not picked up. I can toggle that, and say that it is picked up. And then I can add tags. So I'll select some tags, and there's two ways to add a tag. You can select the parent category at the top, and the bottom list of items will change. And you can say, I want a plastic bottle. And then you can also add the brand. And we've got a huge list of brands, but it's largely unmanageable. So you can also type to suggest tags, and you can just type in Coca-Cola, and you can add in as many tags as you want. And that's it. Now we're about, so currently all of our tags are predefined. We have a static list, and you can only currently select from this list, but we're about to add in a new feature where you can add any custom text tag that you want. That's something people have been requesting for a while. As well as the mobile app, it's also this website also works like an app. It's a web app, so you can also log in here. And there's a ton of other stuff that you can do here. It's possible at the moment to add custom tags to the screen. I don't have anything to tag at the moment. If I did, the screen would change, and it is possible to add custom tags on web, and that will be on the mobile app soon as well. So there's a little bit more to it than just the mobile app. I've also got improved. I've got God mode basically because I'm an admin. So you can see that there's 107 images here from new users that have came in, and these are tagged and they haven't been verified yet. So we're looking for volunteers to help tag this. So someone has tagged this as an energy can, which is correct. So it's not just a normal soft drink can. This is an energy can. So I'm going to update. On to the next one, face masks, that's correct. So what we do is when we have new images and new users, we manually verify that's packaging, I'll accept it. We manually verify every tag on every image that's coming in. And this helps.
You do that? You go and verify each one?
Sometimes, yeah, but we have a team of volunteers who help do it.
Okay, well, that seems to be a lot of work. Yeah.
It is a lot of work, but what it does is it helps us have good quality data and citizen science data, because society is so untrained with citizen science and it's so new. Many experts dismiss citizen science and say it's not worth focusing on. We shouldn't waste any time unlocking society's data collection and training people. But that's the wrong attitude. What we need to do is start empowering people and start training them and becoming better data collectors. And this process helps us remove ambiguity from our data. So when you download our data and all our data is open for everyone, you know that when it says there's 10 cigarette butts in this image, there's another column called verification, and it's been verified 3 or 4 times by 3 or 4 different admins. So not only does it help us remove ambiguity, but it gives us good quality data to train the machine learning algorithms. So in the future, some computer vision algorithm will recognize that this is a plastic packaging based on the tags and the relationship that we've made. Not only do we manually verify them, but we also add bounding boxes to all of them and this is another tool that we made. So we add bounding boxes. So we not only tell the algorithm that there's a tire somewhere in this image, we tell it that
where it is exactly in the image.
This is exactly, exactly. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
So yeah, still a lot of work to do, but we're getting there.
So Sean started it all by himself. He was it was a one-person operation to create this app, and now he was able to get some funding. So you have a few people working for you now, working on this
We
app?
do, yeah. I mean, I'm in between a couple of projects, but I'm a self-taught developer. I just started, I wanted to build this app, and then I taught myself how to code, and I just started on YouTube and Google what's a div and how do you make an app, and just step by step. It took a few years, but I got there. and I got my first funding from cryptocurrency. They gave me $50,000 worth of their native ADA token on Cardano. It's called Project Catalyst. It's the world's first decentralized innovation fund. So you apply with a proposal, and there's money locked in a smart contract, and the community who own the cryptocurrency vote on which proposals they want to finance. And every time a transaction is made on their network, a small tax is taken out, and with this tax accumulates in a smart contract. And basically the people who own the crypto vote on how this money should be spent. So imagine that every time you buy something, right? Well, this already happens, is you pay VAT and you pay tax on everything. But imagine if every dollar in your bank account was a voting right, and could vote directly on how that money was spent. That's why people like cryptocurrency, because the rules of money have changed. And no longer is it just you vote for one political party every 4 years. With crypto, you vote on real proposals every 10 weeks. So that's unsurprisingly, governments weren't very supportive of this yet. But crypto is, because it's like getting upvoted on Reddit. So science funding has become democratized, and I'm lucky enough to be one of those beneficiaries. And I wouldn't have gotten any funding otherwise. So cool to see crypto being used for more than just memes and joke stuff. There's finally some interesting use cases being developed with it as well.
So Sean, if the students wanted to see the instructions for the camera, so you mentioned there are different instructions for iOS and for Android, where can they find that?
So the only place at the moment is there's a welcome email that you would have received if you just signed up for an account. Mm-hmm. And we need to work on all these things, right? So this is something that we've been discussing only yesterday, is we don't have an FAQ section like that. And we're thinking, will we add it into this new community page? I just lost all my lovely events. I was going to take a screenshot of that. Yeah, we're going to add in a new FAQ page here, or a section that will teach people about, you know, those common questions people have. So even though it's online and it works, it's not Facebook, it's not Snapchat. Like, this is largely a one-person operation for a long time. But now we're at a stage where we are trying to cover a lot of that ground and get a lot of different stuff done.
Okay. And
yeah,
so the students, sorry, yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to say, if anyone has any feedback or ideas they think could be improved, there's things missing, like, that's very valuable information.
Yeah, and the Slack, I want to make sure the students can access the app. So when they create an account, it will prompt them to download the app, the Slack app, or how is it working?
When in that welcome email, there's another link to Slack.
Oh, to Slack. Okay.
Yeah, but you will also find it on the community page.
Okay, on the community page. Okay.
Yeah, there's a link here, and you'll see there's a join invite, and you can share that link with anyone. Oh, the more people that join, the better. So
with the Slack, it's where students can ask questions. It's like a blog, right?
Yeah.
And do we have our own team there on Slack? Did you create it or not yet?
Not yet, but I will. I can do that.
Okay. Good. So we have a team so the name of our team was Geomorphology LC, right? So you guys can join it. And then do the students have to enter the code that you just mentioned?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all you need to do. Hopefully someone wrote it down.
If not, it's recorded.
You can also go into the team on the app and like copy the code.
On the Teams?
Yeah.
On the app. Okay. Okay. And then the code will be there. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. We got it here. Yeah. We got it there.
Okay. So the code is there. Perfect. Yeah. So we have here experts. That's great. And then
someone's listening.
Yeah. Great. What else?
Oh, well.
Sorry?
We're up to 10 members already.
We're up to 10 members in this team. Wow. That's wonderful. Good. And Guys, do you have any questions for Sean? No? Looks cool? Yeah, so he didn't have, he's a geographer just like me. He didn't have any background in computer programming. He just taught himself with YouTube, started it all on his own. And was it because your dog got broken glass in his paw? Is that what
That was
triggered?
no, but that was another motivation along the journey, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember walking my dog one day and suddenly dog couldn't walk anymore. I had to carry the dog to the vet, and it's I'm probably not the only person who's had that problem. So litter, it's not just a problem for the oceans, it's not just a problem for us, it's a huge obstacle for pets, for people in wheelchairs, and others as well. So it affects a variety of life.
Yeah, litter is really terrible and so unhealthy. You also mentioned that when you showed us the picture of the sewage system and you showed the cigarettes there, how it gets into the sewage and gets into the oceans. And then you were talking about that the sewage is not designed to handle plastic. So just in case the students don't know, cigarette bags, they're made out of plastic. So that's another thing, that it's more plastic. Other than all the other toxins that are in cigarettes, they're also made out of plastic. So so then we think about, we look in the oceans and we see so much litter, but the majority of the litter in the oceans, it derives from the continent, right, from the land. So it's really terrible. And we have lots of animals on the land that will just go and eat plastic because they don't know that it's not food. And then they get sick, eventually they die. And yeah, so I think I'm good, but anyone else has anything else to add, or any questions to Sean? Or Sean, did you hear that? She asks, what is the craziest thing that you've found?
Oh wow. I don't think I found it yet. I've seen a lot. There's been burnt out cars, there have been piles of rotting nappies, there have been some other stuff, but nothing stands out in particular. But the the craziest thing has been the fact that it's so underdeveloped. To me, it's not what we found, it's what we haven't found yet, is what I find inspiring. The fact that we've got 1 billion people out there with data collectors and we have yet to harness this unprecedented data collection. That's what I find motivating and inspiring. And that's the scientific quest. It's not about what we know, it's about what we don't know yet. And that's what motivates me every day.
Yes, and if we collect data, so for example, me, if I walk with my dogs and I go and I collect litter, but if I don't use the OpenLitterMap, then it's not going to be documented, right? And if it's not documented, then how is it going to bring awareness, right? Because we want to educate people, especially the younger generation, because if we start educating young people, children, right? So then we have better chances to clean the earth. But it's really about bringing it out there, bringing awareness so that people are familiar with it, and then we can make it better, right?
Definitely. And all of us were the first generation empowered with these tools, with mass communication, instant global communication, and now the production of data as well. So this has been an exclusive practice for a very long time. Traditionally, only the kings and emperors and colonizers and rulers of the world were the only ones who had the resources and the expertise to create maps. And increasingly now this has become democratized. And now anyone can come along and totally disrupt that scientific paradigm. So it's no longer just a bottom-down process whereby institutions and people of power can create knowledge about the world. Now everyone can and should be. So it should, I hope it's not just a chore. Being able to produce knowledge and make factual observations about the world should be a very empowering and liberating experience, because no longer is it just this one-way traffic. Now that's been democratized, and it's a huge opportunity at the moment for all of us, because this is so new and unexplored. So if you were lucky enough to be one of the first people to use Facebook back in the day, this is hopefully something similar. I hope that we're part of something that's bigger than just us ourselves taking photos of litter, but could catalyze into a new global movement, whereby suddenly, just as millions of people are sharing pictures of whatever every day, now we can empower people to create real factual observations about the world. And I see no reason why, with a careful combination of incentives or a data collection experience and an incentive, why we can't unlock some of that scientific capacity and start producing huge new global data sets of the world in unprecedented levels of time. So that narrative that we spoke about, that scientific paradigm that was carefully constructed around samples, that's increasingly becoming redundant as we figure out what are these devices that we carry around everywhere, and how can we maximize their utility.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so anyone else has any question for Sean? No. Okay, so I think we're good. If we need anything, I'll be in touch with you, and they can also contact you on Slack. And I can see here something in the chat. So Abigail says it's incredible, and thank you very much for the information. It's an amazing app. Thank you, Abigail. Yes, I agree. Yes. So
Thanks so much. And you can see some of our community on Slack are already delighted. They have the global map open already, and they're energized by your guys' enthusiasm.
Yeah, it is great, and hopefully we can add a lot of data, and
not just data. We need feedback. We need ideas. We need your opinion. You know, that counts. That's a big part of it as well. We don't have all the answers, and we want to involve as many people as possible. And if you have any, you know, if you want to flex some software development skills, you can learn with us. We're happy to onboard people and teach and grow and learn together. So that's what it's all about. OpenLitterMap is open for everybody. You've got the exact same access to all the code and all the data that we do. So it's very much up to you guys to make an opinion about it, an informed scientific characterization about what does this mean and what does this mean for you, and make observations about your local environment, and you know, change OpenLitterMap to something else if that's what you want, and take it in a new exciting direction. We'd love to see that. So we encourage experimentation and innovation. That's what open source is all about.
So how many OpenLitterMap users do you have now, as of now?
Nearly 6,000. So you can see here on the global page, it's increasing. So we're 5,941 users so far, and we're approaching. Yeah, we just passed 250,000 photos, and we're approaching 500,000 tags. So if you guys can help us get over 500,000 is our next target. We're nearly 80% of the way there, and then the next target will be 1 million. Yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah.
So numbers are getting big, yeah, but it's still early. Yeah. There's still a lot of work to do. There's a big planet to clean, and we're just getting started.
Okay, so the more people know about it, the better, and people can help clean the planet, bring awareness. That's great. And it looks like it's simple to use. So when there's the community, you can communicate with people. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, and you can see that even just during our presentation, there's been a bunch of comments and observations made. So it's very much alive. People are looking at this, and more and more people are joining in. And we're currently getting 5 to 10 new users every day, but hopefully in the near future, that could easily grow even further. So keep the global map open, even if it's just a background tab. Just keep this open. on the global map,
The
and
World
you'll
Cup.
see,
Yeah.
the global map, and you'll see every day new images and new users and new teams being created.
Okay, perfect. So thank you so much, Sean. And we're gonna have here a short break, and then we're gonna continue with the class, okay? Nice. So thank you, Sean. I'm gonna ask you to stop sharing your screen. We'll be in touch, and yeah, we're continuing with the Zoom meeting, but you can leave if you have to go. Or
I
if you
will.
want
See you
to go
guys.
back. Take
I will.
care.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
He can't see you.
I knew he couldn't see me.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you stop wanting to do it though.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing app, right? It's pretty, I mean, once you start working with it, you'll see, but it's amazing how one person decided to make a change. And yeah. So let's have about 5 minutes. Oh, just 16 minutes? Oh, wow, that took a long, I didn't. Okay, so if that's the case, I didn't realize that we had only, thank you for bringing it to my awareness. Okay, so if that's all we have, let's go. Actually, I'm going to start sharing my screen. It was supposed to be only 20 minutes, so. Okay, but at least there was important information there. I hope you enjoyed it. So what we're gonna do, let's continue from where we stopped last time.
Oh, we're not breaking?
Sorry? Breaking what? You guys want to continue next time? You guys are tired now? That's it? Okay.
Just to set up, just to pick up seems.
Yeah, okay, that's okay. I thought you wanted to continue now and then. Okay. So that's okay. If you guys, that's what you want, we'll continue next time. And yeah, so I hope you learned some new information here, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks, Sally.
Oh. Thanks. Yeah.